Are you guilty of killing anyone at all?
Am I guilty of killing anyone at all? No, I'm not. Unless you could say Dean Corll was a killing. I defended myself.
Wayne Hindley. He first gets involved in the Houston mass murders in 1971. When he is only 15. By bringing his teenage buddies to the house of a fatherly friend who is twice his age.
What did he want you to do?
He wanted to pay me to find people and bring them to him. And help him do his thing. And kill him and help him bury him.
Did you?
I'll pay you.
He was going to pay you. How much would he pay you per person?
I don't know. He said $1,500 once.
$1,500 a person.
That's what he said.
Hey guys, it's Lavender here. Welcome back to my channel. It's Lavender here, and today I am back with a new true crime video. And today I'm going to be doing the case of the serial killer, also named the Candyman killer, Dean Corll case. So let's get started. So here we go. So a little about Dean Arnold Corll. Sorry if I mispronounce things. I'm not good at pronouncing names at all. I'm sorry. He was born December 24th, 1939, and he died August 8th, 1973. He was an American serial killer who abducted, raped, and tortured young boys, at least 28 teenage boys, and young men between 1970 and 1973 in Houston, Texas. He was aided by two teenage accomplices, David Owen Brooks and Elmer Wayne Hindley. And he was actually in a couple of biographies, like books, films, and documentaries. One of the films that the case was inspired by was a film loosely inspired by the Houston mass murders freakout. It was released in 2003. This serial killer case, this true crime case, was also on Investigation Discovery's channel and show. They broadcast a documentary focusing upon the Houston mass murders within their documentary series, Most Evil. This documentary, entitled Manipulators, featured an interview with Elmer Wayne Hindley, conducted by a former forensic psychologist named Chris Manady. And here's a little background on the serial killer Dean Corll. So Dean Arnold Corll was born on December 24, 1939 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Dean Corll was described by his family and his friends as a shy and serious child who seldom and rarely interacted or socialized with other children. From 1954 to 1958, Corll attended high school, where he was regarded as a well-behaved student who achieved good grades and good academics. He had been the case in his childhood. Corll was also considered somewhat of a loner type, although he is known to have occasionally dated girls in his teenage years. Corll's mother opened a candy shop in which she named Corll Candy Company. The same year, one of the teenage boys employees of the company accused Corll that he had made sexual advances toward him, and in retaliation, the mom, Mary West, fired the teenager. Corll was drafted into the United States Army on August 10, 1964. According to the military records, Corll's period of service in the Army was unblemished. He reportedly hated the military and hated serving the military, and he was given an honorable discharge on June 11, 1965, after 10 months of service. Following his honorable discharge from the Army, Corll returned to Houston Heights and resumed the position he had held as vice president of his family's candy business. He was known to give free candy to local children, mostly teenage boys. As a result of this behavior, he earned himself the nickname the Candyman. In 1967, Corll befriended 12-year-old David Owen Brooks, one of the many children to whom he gave free candy. Brooks initially became one of Corll's many youthful close companions, regularly socializing with Corll and various teenage boys who hanged out at the rear of the candy company shop, and later commented that Corll was the first adult male who did not mock his appearance or bully him. Between 1970 and 1973, Corll is known to have killed a minimum of 28 victims. All his victims were male aged 13 to 20. The majority of them were in their mid-teens and teenage boys. Most victims were abducted from Houston Heights. With most abductions, he was assisted by one or the other of his teenage accomplices, Elmer Wayne Henley and David Owen Brooks. Some of victims were friends of either or both of Corll's accomplices. Others were individuals with whom Corll had himself become acquainted prior to their abduction and murder. At Corll's residence, the use would be like he would give them alcohol and other drugs until they passed out. He would then sexually assault the victims, beat, torture, and sometimes after several days, killed by strangulation. Corll killed his first known victim, an 18-year-old college freshman, Jeffrey Conan, on September 25th, 1970. Conan vanished while hitchhiking. David Brooks led police to the body of Jeffrey Conan on August 10, 1973. On December 13, 1970, Brooks lured two 14-year-old Spring Ranch youths named James Glass and Danny Yates away from a religious rally. Henley awoke to find himself lying upon his stomach and Corll snapping handcuffs onto his wrists. His mouth had been taped shut, his ankles had been bound together. Curley and Williams lay beside Henley, securely bound with nylon rope, gagged with adhesive tape, and lying face down on the floor. Corll was really angry that he had brought a girl to his house and that he was going to kill all three teenagers after he assaulted and tortured one of the teenage boys, Curley. Henley then grabbed Corll's pistol, shouting, "You've gone far enough, Dean." Henley elaborated, "I can't go on any longer. I can't have you kill all my friends," he shouted. Henley then fired at Corll with the pistol, hitting him in the forehead. That did not kill him, and Corll got up and continued to lunge towards Henley, where he fired 2 rounds, hitting Corll in the left shoulder. Corll then ran out of the room, hitting the wall of the hallway, and Henley fired 3 additional bullets into his lower back and shoulder. Corll died where he fell, his naked body lying facing towards the wall. After he had shot Corll, Henley released Curley and Williams from the torture board, and all 3 teenagers discussed what actions they would take following all this incidents. At 8:24 a.m. on August 8, 1973, Henley placed a call to the police department. Henley, when questioned regarding his claim that Corll had threatened him the morning that he had shouted that he had killed silver boys, Henley explained that for almost 3 years he and David Brooks had helped catch teenage boys for Corll. Some of them have been their own friends for Corll who had raped and murdered them. Police initially were skeptical of Henley's claims. Henley agreed to accompany police to Corll's boat shed in southwest Houston, where he claimed the bodies of most of the victims could be found. Inside Corll's boat shed, police found a half-stripped car, which turned out to have been stolen from a used car lot in March. And inside Corll's boat shed, police found a they found a child's bike, a large iron drum, water containers, 2 sacks of lime, and a large plastic bag full of teenage boys' clothing. All the victims found had been sodomized, and most victims found bore evidence of sexual torture. On the morning of August 9th, 1973, Henley gave a full written statement detailing his and Brooks' involvement with Dean Corll and the abduction and murder of the numerous youth and teenage boys. In this confession, Henley readily admitted to having personally killed approximately 9 youths, to have assisted Corll in the strangulation of others. By the time the grand jury had completed its investigation, Henley had been indicted for 6 murders and Brooks for 4. Henley was not charged with the death of Dean Corll, which prosecutors ruled on September 18th that had been committed in self-defense, Elmer Wayne Hindley and David Owen Brooks were tried separately for their roles in the murders. The jury deliberated for 92 minutes before finding Hindley guilty of all 6 murders for which he was tried. He was given, I think, 99 years, like 699 years in prison, which is 594 years in prison, so he's going to be there for the rest of his life. Brooks was brought to trial on February 27th, 1975. Brooks had been indicted for 4 murders on March 4th, 1975, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. So yeah, if you guys like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye guys, see you next video.